Glory is something everyone wants to achieve, but very few get the chance to pursue. Tonight, Dak and the Cowboys continue their season-long quest to achieve the ultimate glory. Standing in their way, an old foe, and a rivalry where the history runs deep. From Aikman in Montana to Irvin and Rice, names are remembered forever in games like this. Only one will take another step towards glory. The other starts all over. Cowboys, 49ers. Things are about to get wild.
There's nothing ever small when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys and the 49ers, especially when the season is on the line. There's a one-and-done situation, baby. You think we're going to do it here? Oh, no, we ain't going to do it here, baby. We're going to do it in a big way. We're going to do it where the action at. We're going to get close. We're going to get mean. We're going to get nasty. Not us, but those Dallas Cowboys. See you.
That's right, Nate. We are not live from the Star in Frisco. Instead, we are on site for Wildcard weekend between the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. It's Cowboys pregame live from the AT&T East Plaza at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. And we are so glad to be out here with Cowboys Nation, who have showed out in full force for a whiteout against the 49ers. Welcome into the set, everybody, alongside the former crew. Former Cowboys Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, and six-time Pro Bowler, three-time Super Bowl champ. That's Nate Newton down there on the end. I'm Kyle Yeoman. So glad to be with you. And, gentlemen, how about Cowboys Nation showing out?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle, where else would you rather be? We're right here at the Cowboys Stadium. Two old-time rivals. This is going to be a showcase. I can't wait to see it.
Man, just like my guy Magic said, it's showtime.
Yes,
hey,
indeed.
you know what, man? Just great to be here, man. Church, I need a little move for
I got you.
You should have seen the atmosphere. You should see it right now. The atmosphere is absolutely electric because of these two rivals. So much history between the two sides, but you really should have seen the electricity of a dance-off between Nate Newton and Barry Church prior to the show, because that was about as entertaining as possibly can be. But let's get into this thing. It's been a long road for the Dallas Cowboys to get right back here to the wild card. First playoff appearance since 2018. Let's start on January 3rd of 2021, down by the Giants in the final regular season game. That was then followed by a complete overhaul on the defensive side of the football. Firing Mike Nolan, Dan Quinn hired on January 11th of 2021. 2 months later, Dallas committed long-term to Dak Prescott. 4-year, $160 million deal for QB1, the largest contract in Cowboys history. That focus then went back to the defense for the NFL draft. Micah Parsons selected with the 12th overall pick in April's draft, and he has certainly had a historic season. That was then followed by a long wait, all the way up until the Cowboys touched down in Oxnard on July 20th, and that was a sigh of relief for a lot of Cowboys fans to get a new start, try and get back to where they are today, leading to the return of Dak Prescott. That was in the season opener against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it only took 108 days from that moment until they clinched the NFC East title with a win over Washington the day after Christmas. And the Cowboys are champions of the NFC East, and they will take on the San Francisco 49ers today at AT&T Stadium. Gentlemen, with all that being said, it has been a long road. There have been so many things that have led to this moment for the Cowboys. But what is your expectation for the Cowboys when they take on the 49ers today?
I think this is a very winnable game. I mean, I see a lot of what the Cowboys do well. I think they can take advantage of that with this 49ers team. But in the vice versa, you look at what the 49ers can achieve. They're a strong running team, and we've seen from the Dallas Cowboys defense during the regular season, they sometimes struggle to stop the run. So that's going to be an interesting matchup I want to keep my eye on. But overall, I'm very confident what the Cowboys have, and I think they're going to come away with a victory today, Isaiah.
I agree, BC, man. I believe that Dallas Cowboys have a huge advantage offensively on the San Francisco 49ers. However, San Francisco has a great advantage on the ground. Their ground game is obviously powerful. The old Mr. Dennis Green used to say they are who we thought they were, and they are physical. They want to make you wave the white flag. Hopefully the only white that's going to be waving in there is the white out inside AT&T Stadium.
You know what's exciting about this? They have a great ground and pound attack, but we just bring up that safety, make them commit to passing the ball with Garoppolo, and disguise it, Church.
Yes.
Disguise it, and everything will be all right.
It is such a tough matchup. The 49ers, one of the hottest teams in the NFL, winning 4 of their last 5. But listen here. There are a lot of Cowboys fans, of course, here at AT&T Stadium, but there are a good, solid contingency of San Francisco 49ers here as well. But guess what? That doesn't matter. This is the Cowboys' house at AT&T Stadium. There's no such a thing as an invasion of red. Get your C-Red out of here. This is the Dallas Cowboys home matchup. And to check in with Cowboys Nation, let's go to the 5th member of our crew, Britt Johnson.
Going deaf here. It is crazy. Cowboys Nation is definitely in the house. I feel like Nate Newton might know what the early 90s felt like with this rivalry. This rivalry is not dead. The Dallas Cowboys, the 49ers are loud. They're in the building today. It's going crazy. I mean, Cowboys Nation, how you guys feeling? Yeah, I think that's how they're feeling. Back to you, Kyle.
And, of course, you do see a couple San Francisco fans in there. You got to respect the hustle, but it's not the same as what the Cowboys fans are bringing out here at the AT&T East Plaza. Let's talk about the playoff expectations for Mike McCarthy. His 10th playoff appearance as a head coach in the NFL, his first with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, he's won a Super Bowl before. He has been to the mountaintop. So what kind of pressure is on Mike McCarthy in a game like this to try and get a playoff run going?
I think a lot of pressure is on Mike McCarthy because this is what he was brought in here to do. He was brought in here to get this team over the hump. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach. He should be able to get the most out of his players, especially once the playoffs begin. Now, look, defensively, this Cowboys team is on top right now, and they can go out there and dominate this game, and hopefully Mike McCarthy can get those boys going in the right direction and hopefully walk away with a W.
This is why they brought Mike McCarthy into the Dallas Cowboys organization. They understand where he's been. They know that he has a Super Bowl underneath his belt, and they want that to be a part of this new generation of Dallas Cowboys. So if he does not go out here and take care of business, you know what we know everybody's going to say. The expectation is Super Bowl, and this is stage 1.
You know what? Y'all can buy into everything you want. We brought this guy here to win games and to take us, to give us opportunity to get to the Super Bowl. But what he's going to show these young players and these veterans is calm and confidence, and that's why they'll do perfect today.
There's a ton of pressure on Mike McCarthy to succeed in this game, and then, of course, further on into the postseason as well. But what about Dak Prescott? Is this season a failure for Dak Prescott and this Cowboys offense if they don't find that playoff success?
I would have to say so. I would have to say yes on that one, because if we don't get past this 49ers team right now, you have the number 1 offense. Your defense takes the football away better than any team remaining in the playoffs, and you're relatively healthy. There's no excuses. Both Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy have got to get the job done today.
I agree, BC. I think there's levels to failure. When you come into the training camp, you know that your main goal is obviously make the playoffs. Well, guess what? They're here. Now, the next phase is to win this 4-game streak, to give yourself opportunity to go up there and hold the ultimate goal, which is hoisting that Lombardi trophy.
You check the boxes. You check the NFC East. You won. Now you're in the playoffs in the first round. You got a home field advantage here. Check that box and everything will be okay. Cowboys will do just fine today.
Yes, they will. And they've had plenty of those boxes checked throughout the 2021 season. Dak Prescott, just the 4th quarterback under the age of 28 to lead an offense to the number 1 ranking in the NFL. The other names, how about Patrick Mahomes, Kurt Warner, and Boomer Esiason? So good company there for Dak Prescott and what he has done this season. Let's hear from Dak himself earlier in the week on how he's learned to thrive under the pressure of the postseason.
I don't know necessarily why people have labeled the word pressure as such a bad thing, honestly. I think it creates high expectations and high standards, and it usually creates high results. So for me, it's just about being who I am, staying true to that, knowing who I am, preparing the same way that I have and that I do, trusting the people around me, trusting the play callers in my preparation, and then just going out there and playing the game that I love without any hesitation.
Dak, does your preparation change for a playoff game? Do you go back to look at more games than you normally would for a regular season game just to find something, or do you keep it the same? Your individual prep.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say same for the most part, but yeah, I would be lying. I mean, maybe just a little bit more film, maybe a little bit more games than than in the normal breakdown. You know, we take 4 or 5 games, and you know, sometimes in a playoff game you want to go see what they've done really well in other games or against other opponents that may not be in that breakdown. So, and that's more so just trying to get a feel of the D coordinator and how he calls games and why he's scheming one blitz up versus a different team than another, and just trying to get a feel for maybe how they come into this game against us.
And what's your anticipation of the atmosphere you're going to see on Sunday?
Yeah, excited. That's one thing that you can't replicate. It's playoff football, especially not in AT&T Stadium. Having played 2 playoff games here before, and just knowing the excitement, every single play, excited for the just to feel the atmosphere from warm-ups. Really, the time that you show up, getting near the game. I mean, just in town, you can feel it, and it's something special. Excited just to see Cowboys Nation come out and show out and be a big part of this game.
So you heard it from the words of Dak Prescott there specifically, but it does feel like something special could certainly happen here at AT&T Stadium today, and then, of course, throughout the playoff run. Let's go inside the stadium, though, and down on the sideline where Rob Phillips joins us here from DallasCowboys.com. Rob, first off, thanks for taking some time to talk with us. Secondly, what is the feeling around the locker room at the moment? Is it as electric as it is out here on the plaza?
Well, first of all, I'm just sad I missed the dance-off between Nate and B. Church. I really wish I had seen that one. It's electric in here so far. Fans are starting to file in, and as you guys mentioned, yeah, there's a little red here, but I think by and large, the vast majority, is going to be the whiteout that the Cowboys expected. As far as the locker room goes, what I heard, the vibe I got this week, although the interviews that we do are virtual, is that this team is focused, has been locked in. They know the opportunity. Dak spoke to it. First time to host a game here since the 2018 season. And this is a relatively young football team, but there's guys on this roster that have been here several years. You think about Dak and Zeke, 6 years, DeMarcus Lawrence. They know how, you know, precious these opportunities are. And so Zach Martin spoke to it as well. His first year, they go to the playoffs. He thinks it's going to be every year. It's not that way. Really hard to win playoff games, really hard to get here. I think the guys are focused.
Is a tougher challenge than a lot of people look at and see to get to 12-5, to win a division, to get to a wild card round. But is there added pressure? That's been the buzzword around this entire matchup, is pressure, because of the talent and because of the way that they did get to today.
I think there's pressure on everybody. I think you're right. Mike McCarthy came here because of his Super Bowl experience. Dak Prescott, you mentioned the contract, all of that. San Francisco's got pressure on themselves too. They were banged up last year, weren't able to capitalize on the Super Bowl year they had 2 years ago, so they think they should be back in that situation. But they've got to win a road game to get here. The Cowboys have earned this opportunity to play at home, and I think by and large, especially offensively, they have been a better team at home than they have been on the road. So I think that because they earned this opportunity, they've got to feel good about where they are in this matchup.
They did get a road win last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, 51-26, and they did so without some of their key players. Trayvon Diggs, Micah Parsons, Tony Pollard, Anthony Brown, just to name a few that were out. But the Cowboys relatively healthy heading into this matchup. What is the update on how many players are available for Mike McCarthy in the battle today?
This is about as healthy a football team as you could hope for in mid-January, right? I mean, they've had some guys dealing with injured reserve. Obviously, you lost Michael Gallup for the season a couple weeks ago. Keanu Neal will not play. He was ruled out on Friday because of that chest and elbow injury he's dealing with. But Tony Pollard looks set to go. Tyron Smith looks set to go. So from a health standpoint, they've been doing really well, and they didn't have any COVID cases. That's the other factor heading into the weekend. So about as healthy as you can hope for going into this game. And on the flip side, the 49ers get Trent Williams back, their left tackle, star left tackle. So 49ers doing okay in the health department too.
Now, speaking on the absence of Keanu Neal, you talk about how thin that linebacker core is. What is the rotation going to look like at the second level of that defense?
Well, obviously Micah Parsons, it starts with him, and you never know exactly where he's going to line up, but they definitely need his presence against the run. You guys did a great job of talking about how the 49ers want to get that established and establish the tempo of this football game. So that's key. Leighton Vander Esch as well. And I think Luke Gifford has an opportunity to step in with some more snaps. And Mike McCarthy spoke very highly of him and what he's done in limited snaps, both on defense and special teams. So Cowboys know all about this 49ers run game. I think they're, as J. Ron Kearse said when he was asked about George Kittle, their star tight end on Friday, little ticked off to have to compliment guys, even though he did. I think both teams are probably a little bit tired of hearing about how good the other team is. I think that's healthy. I think that shows both teams are confident and both teams have a lot of motivation to go win this game.
Rob Phillips down on the sideline inside AT&T Stadium for the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. Rob, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week after, of course, a Cowboys win. Let's go for some bold predictions. Britt Johnson and Isaiah Stanback are down on the sideline with a couple fans, and they're going to have some of that fire in terms of the bold predictions on the side.
Yes, Kyle, thank you so much. It is time for Britt's bold predictions. Now, I asked 3 bold predictions to Twitter, and here are some of them. Our first bold prediction I asked was 2 Cowboys wide receivers will record 100-plus receiving yards against the 49ers each. Now, the reason why I think this is because Dak said earlier this week that he loves pressure. I go back to one of the biggest pressure games he's had this season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where 2 of the Cowboys players, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, both had 100-plus receiving yards. So that is my bold prediction. What do you think?
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. Yeah, I know, Brent. I know. And the reason being is I think that you have to spread the ball around against this 49ers defense. I think we have the advantage personnel-wise, and I think if you have 2 guys that have over 100 yards, then you're too to focus in on those individuals. You need to spread that thing around.
All right, well, let's check in with what Twitter had to say. Twitter said 55% agree. That's what I like to hear. All right, our next bold prediction. The Dallas defense will hold the 49ers to under 125 yards. Now, yes, I think the fans are agreeing with me. Now, I know the 49ers run the ball a lot, but they only average about 127. And the Dallas Cowboys, our run defense, got a lot of criticism, but we also did not have guys like DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory the majority of the season. Another offense that has similar rushing stats to the 49ers are the Washington football team. We played them in December twice. During both of those games, the Dallas Cowboys held them to just roughly 100 yards. So I'm going under on that one.
This is a tough one, Brent, but when you look back at the stats for the 49ers, 8 out of their 10 victories, they had over 125 yards rushing. But 5 of their 7 losses, they had under 125. So I'm going to go ahead and agree with you and say that they're going to hold them under 125.
Yes, I like that. Let's check in with Twitter. Twitter, 61% agreed on that one. And our final Brits bold prediction, the Dallas defense will have 4 or more sacks against the 49ers because it's Sack City, baby. We got Randy Gregory. We got DeMarcus Lawrence. We got Micah Parsons, who is back in the lineup. He said earlier this week that, you know what, I technically had a bye last week because I had COVID. I did not play, so I am fresh. I am ready to go. It is Sack City for the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, Brett. On this one, 49ers want to run the ball. We know they want to have the ground game. But in order to dominate these guys, you have to take away their ability to keep this thing on the ground. So I think Jimmy G, I think we get above others, give you above the guys early. Jimmy G has to go to the air, and we get over 4 sacks on this guy.
All right, and Twitter, 63% agreed. I love Cowboys Nation this week. We are optimistic. We are excited. Back to you, Kyle.
Thank you very much, Britt. We heard from Micah Parsons earlier in the week. He was asked how he's ready for his first playoff appearance in a Dallas Cowboys uniform.
The 49ers are known to play bully ball. Can you bully a lion?
No, you can't. It's actually funny you say that. I was having fun with the guys, and I was telling them, like, I'm from Harrisburg, where the bullies get bullied. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, there's a bully in every gym. There's a bully everywhere you go. But at one point, there's going to take someone to stand up and, you know, and fight. And I ain't never backed down from a challenge, so I would never say you can bully a lion, ever.
But just attacking the physicality, they have a physical running style with their running offense. And how are you guys ready for this challenge of the defense?
I mean, we don't got a choice but to be ready, Clarence. I mean, the game on Sunday, we got about 4 more days left for preparation. And I don't think nobody's going to hand their equipment and say, hey, we can't beat the 49ers, let's go home. No, we're going to knuckle up, focus in on the details,
And, you know, when the run game that good, I mean, everything's small, detailed out, and we're going to have to really focus in and make sure we go out there and play our best football. You know, I think it's one of them teams that's has a lot of fight in them. They got a lot of explosive players on offense and defense, and, you know, I think they one play away from being, you know, a really good football team too. So, I mean, we really got to lock in this week.
Back here with the crew at the desk at Cowboys Pregame Live, and we just heard from Micah Parsons and what he brings to the table as a rookie. What a historic run he has been throughout his rookie season. Highest pressure percentage in the next-gen era. That's dating back to 2016, and the fifth player in the last 5 years with 10 sacks, 20-plus tackles for loss, and 30 quarterback hits. So where do you see the expectations lying for Micah Parsons?
I expect to see the same what we've seen all season. And no matter where this guy's lined up on the field, whether it's defensive end, whether it's linebacker, he is a straight beast. So I expect the young lion to go out there, eat against these 49ers team, and help this Cowboys team come home with a victory.
BC, imagine a lion that hasn't eaten in 2 weeks.
Oh.
Right, he's just ready to eat, right? So this guy right here, we need his unrelenting, tenacious, just everything that he has. This young bull right here is going to be coming at these guys, and we need him to bring his energy and his physicality to this Cowboys defense today.
You know, he's been a jewel all year, but we need him to be a pearl this day right now. I'm telling you, because, you know, if he can make plays, that makes everybody on the defense better. That helps our back end and our front end when this dude is incomplete and running like he runs.
Is he the X factor in terms of slowing down that San Francisco run game? Because when we take a look at the numbers, in terms of what the 49ers bring to the table, they have a good, really a chunk of everything going up against this Cowboys defense that has had some struggles this season in slowing down the game on the ground. Can they slow down the run defense of the San Francisco side?
Without a doubt, I think they can slow this thing down, and what they got to do is focus on their responsibilities individually and how they can help this defense. And they got to trust their teammate next to them is going to be able to do the same thing. Because if you go out there with a bunch of guys thinking they individually have to stop the run, that's when your defense gets compromised. That's when you give up explosive runs. So they got to trust in one another, play together as a unit, and they'll be able to slow down this 49ers rushing attack.
Yeah, I definitely think that Micah Parsons is an X factor when it comes to this Dallas Cowboys defense. Reason being is because of the 49ers rushing scheme. They like to get their linemen up to the second level and really work on the linebackers. But the thing is, they're not used to going up against a Micah Parsons who is so evasive and elusive, has it been in his hips to be able to swivel around these guys, shoot the gap, and make the big plays in the backfield.
He is that X factor. He's the guy that can make things happen, man, because he can run with Elijah Mitchell. He can run with Deebo Samuel. But more importantly, I keep saying it, we need that extra guy in the box so that our safety should play a big part too.
And speaking of slowing down, how are the Cowboys going to slow down first-team All-Pro Deebo Samuel? You talk about first in yards per reception, yards per route in both the slot and outside. He's a first-team All-Pro in every sense of the word. So how is he so lethal, and how can the Cowboys nullify that?
Look, it's going to be a tough task because this guy is one of the strongest runners in the National Football League. Like, when he gets his hands on that football and starts running, arm tackles are not going to bring this guy down. He's one of the strongest runners, like I just mentioned, but in order to slow a guy like this down, you got to match his physicality. When he's out at wide receiver, get your hands on him. When he's in the backfield, don't let him get you on. Go ahead and smack him at the line of scrimmage, put him down, and go on to the next play.
There's the physicality from a former defensive player. I like it.
I like it.
Smack him at the line of scrimmage.
I totally agree, man. I think that you absolutely have to wreak havoc against these guys. I mean, one of the things that these guys do well is when they bring their lead blockers. They bring a lot of guys coming off the edge, whether that be the tight end coming across the set and getting a wham block, whether that be the receivers going and getting crack blacks on the secondary guys. That's one thing that they like to do. So on the defensive side of things, you have to disrupt all that. You have to come in, blow those blockers up, get these guys down in the backfield, and make sure that they never want to do it again.
It's not much more I can add to those two brilliant ways, man. But I tell you, be perfect tacklers. Know your assignment. Barry talked about it. Be perfect tacklers, know your assignment, and know at all points in time for that football playing dude Samuel is.
He definitely does so many things well, and the Cowboys are going to have a tough task of slowing him down in that Kyle Shanahan offense. With more on the other side of things, we go behind enemy lines with Britt Johnson.
You should feel at home here because we got a bunch of 49ers fans. I am with Kiana Martin, who is the senior reporter for the 49ers. And I got to know, we see what the energy is here, but how has it been leading up to this game, this rivalry, this old school rivalry?
I mean, it's a rivalry that dates back, we all know, to like the 70s. And then you look at those 92 to 95 years. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, he talks about it. He was 15 years old when he was on the sideline with his dad, Mike Shanahan, watching those rivalry games take place. But he asked the team, like, all right, are you guys kind of aware of what's going on? They're like, no, we just know it's a really big football game. He even says he tries to make Wedding Crashers references, and they have no idea. But nonetheless, the team is just excited about today. They say they know the awareness of how big this rivalry is, but they're just excited to be back on the field.
Well, a guy that might not be as excited is Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, we've talked about it for the Cowboys about this. It's kind of like a resume tape for him this season because you guys did trade up and draft Trey Lance. How has Jimmy been feeling going into this game?
Yeah, everybody obviously wants to know when you have a team that jumps up 9 spots to draft a rookie quarterback, obviously there's a lot of attention. But for Jimmy Garoppolo, there's no pressure. His pressure is getting into the Super Bowl, taking his team back to the Super Bowl. He's not worried about what Trey Lance is doing. We saw a little bit about what he did in Week 18 against the Rams with that thumb injury. So only pressure he's worried about is getting a win.
Speaking, listen to this crowd back here. Last question, how does Kyle Shanahan feel playing against Dan Quinn, his old head coach?
I think this is every coach's dream. They want to play against their friends. It's a little bit of a fun, friendly competition, but obviously there's so much more on the line in getting this win. He said that Dan Quinn has his fingerprints all over this defense. You can tell how fast they play, how quick they are, how tough they play. So that's why he said this is a Dan Quinn defense, and obviously they're going to have a little fun going on opposite sidelines.
Last question, can you still hear Kiana?
Say it again?
Can you still hear? Can you still hear?
Oh, obviously not.
Let's go. Keep it going. Back to you, Kyle.
Thank you very much, Brett. And really, it has been a special start to today. It really has been exquisite from a fan side of things, and both sides represented very well here on Cowboys Pregame Live. But let's hear from head coach Kyle Shanahan and what he knows the challenges lying ahead in playing his former head coach, Dan Quinn.
You can see why they're in this position. Just offensive, defensively, special teams. Their numbers are, off the charts on both sides, in both phases. They got very good talent. They got very good schemes. Watching their defense, it looks so much to me like a Dan Quinn defense. He's changed a lot schematically and coverages and everything, but the way those 11 guys play and attack the ball and go for the ball, he's got them going. And it's not a coincidence they're leading the league in getting turnovers. Their offense, starting with their quarterback, he's a great player. Kellen does a real good job schematically, especially with the receivers they have and the 2 running backs they have and the O-line they have. So very talented team, and it's very obvious why they're in this position.
Kyle, Dan Quinn spoke on Monday about how what he respects about you most is how you've adjusted your scheme for each organization and the players that you've worked with. What do you see from him, and what do you respect about how he's adjusted throughout his, since you've coached together?
It was cool watching him because I haven't got to play against him since 19, and I know exactly what, they were very similar in 19 to how it was when I was there. But just watching him now, got Dallas, it's still his style. They play the exact same way, and it's very obvious when you see him on tape, and that's the coolest thing about Dan. But just coverage-wise and stuff, it's very different. Not as much cover 3 and the type of man coverages they're doing, and it's impressive for Dan to do it a certain way his whole career, and then to make the adjustments mainly probably because of his personnel, just stuff that he wants to add. But looks like his first time doing it, at least since I've known him, and it's definitely been very good, and it's hard to deal with. But who he is doesn't change. He's a motivator, and he gets those guys to rush the quarterback. He gets them to play hard, and that team is very tough to beat.
Plenty of respect back and forth between Kyle Shanahan and Dan Quinn and his entire Cowboys franchise. Shanahan served as the offensive coordinator underneath Dan Quinn with the Atlanta Falcons in 2015 and 2016. That included their run to Super Bowl 51. So with the familiarity between the two sides of things, Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Does that give an advantage to one side or the other, having known each other in the past?
Well, I'm going to give the slight advantage to Dan Quinn on this one, and I know they worked together at that Atlanta team, so they know each other's strengths and weaknesses. But the reason I'm going to give Dan Quinn the advantage on this one is because I believe he has more impact players on his side of the ball versus Kyle Shanahan on his side of the ball. And I think the mad genius Dan Quinn will figure out some way, somehow, to take advantage of that.
Man, you stole my thunder, BC. I think that Dan Quinn obviously has an advantage here simply because his personnel is that much better than that of the offense for the 49ers. These guys have to come out and show it, though. They've done a good job this year, and they have another game on the schedule today. Go out there and take care of business.
You know what, I would like to agree with y'all guys, but they got our kryptonite. They like to run that thing.
Yeah.
So you know what? We're going to find out. And once again, that safety creeping up won't be bad.
Based on your experience, what is easier for a defensive coordinator to slow down, the pass or the run whenever the strength is still the run?
Yeah, it's easy to just stop it. The deal is the play action pass. When that quarterback fake it in there to that running back and that extra guy's up there and they have one-on-one all around the field.
Yeah, with me, without a doubt, I think it's easier to stop the run. I mean, with all these different pass combinations that these new age coordinators can achieve right now, to me, stopping the run is the easiest thing, and that's what you need to put your defense on. Because we know the strength of this 49ers team. It's their running attack.
Yeah.
We stop that, force it on Jimmy G. I think we can take advantage of it.
And I think Cowboys fans out here expect for the Cowboys defense to slow down the San Francisco run game. They are loud and they are proud. We just heard from Kyle Shanahan. Let's hear from Dan Quinn on how he feels heading into the wild card matchup.
I think he's an excellent coach, and why I so wanted to work with him in the first place, because he had saw, during his time at Houston and all the run and play pass that they had, to go to Washington and a completely different system, regarding RG. And then at Atlanta, different with Matt and Julio and the crew that we had there. And now he's different again in terms of how he's utilizing the personnel. And I think that's a sign of a good coach. He's tough, he's gritty, he knows how to attack, and not just the field vertically, but horizontally as well. And so I think that's what makes the matchups tough, because he really does, attack the entire field and puts guys in good positions to play. But I think that's one of the things I most respect about him, is utilizing and finding the unique stuff that a player has, and featuring that in their very best ways. Both, the system that he had, in Atlanta, and the one, that I had in Atlanta, both of us have changed some, over the years based on personnel and how to use them. But that's, to me, what makes, the sign of a good coach. And they're tough, they're physical, they run it well. They've got versatile players in terms of how they use their fullback, their tight end, their wide out. So it'll be a tough matchup for us, but one we're certainly looking forward to.
Back here, we had to get into the crowd ourselves. We had to be a part of this.
We had to. Let's go. Cowboys Nation, let's go.
Back with Barry Church, I'm Kyle Yeomans, and Barry, let's take a look at some of the inactive list for both teams, starting with the Dallas Cowboys, where really, like Rob Phillips said a little bit early on, they feel healthy heading into this matchup. Nahshon Wright at the top of the list. Keona Neal, probably the biggest name. We'll talk about him coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Simi Fehoko, Quinton Bohanna, Matt Farniok, a trio of rookies up there with Nahshon Wright. But let's talk about Keona Neal at the linebacker spot. Him being unavailable is certainly going to be a missed piece for this Cowboys linebacking core. How big is that, and what is the rotation going to look like?
I think it's got a huge impact not having Keona Neal on the field. I mean, look, that brings our linebacker depth to Parsons, LVE, and then you're looking at Francis Bernard and Luke Gifford. Those two guys have not had a lot of experience playing defense. So like Nate Newton said earlier, I think they're going to have to walk that safety down into the box. J-Ron Curse in there, and he's a heck of a player. But making every single down choice between a run and a pass is going to be tough for a safety. So this is going to be a tough option for the Dallas Cowboys. Hopefully Parsons, LVE can go out there and hold it down, but it's going to be a tough matchup.
Two of those guys, Keona Neal and Leighton Vander Esch, had some of the best games of their season over the last month of the regular season. How much of an impact does that make, the fact that those guys just aren't available, and now you have to find a way for somebody else to step up?
Yeah, you're going to have to find a way to have somebody else step up, because you can't be a nickel package the entire name. We know what the 49ers offense is all about. Their bread and butter is running the football. That's 21 personnel, that's 12 personnel. You can't go out there and nickel every down. They will run you out of the gym. So we're going to have to bring that safety down, and we're going to have to rely on one of those three linebackers to go out there and have a heck of a game.
Let's take a look at how San Francisco is dealing with the inactive list in their own side of things, as they've really been dealing without some of their key pieces, especially in the backfield. Their running game has not been at full strength throughout the course of the season. They've had to rotate guys in like Deebo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell in the backfield. So now we take a look at the San Francisco inactive list. What does it stand out to you in the fact that they're going in pretty healthy as well?
The one name I see on there is the running back Trey Sermon. I know they brought him in the third round. He was supposed to be a big back for them going into this regular season, but they were able to get enough with Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel in their rushing attack. So I don't see too much craziness going on their inactive list, but the one guy that's not on that list that we need to be worried about is Trent Williams.
That's a great point. Let's talk about Trent Williams at the offensive tackle spot. One of the best in the NFL at what he does at left tackle, missing a significant number of games. And, well, now they've got to go up against this pass rush, this front seven of the Dallas Cowboys. How big of an impact is Trent Williams going to have?
It's a huge impact because, like Nate Newton always says, he is a dancing bear. He's the best of both worlds. When you talk about the run game, he can literally pick a guy up and displace him. And when you talk about the pass game, this guy is a brick wall, a mile-long brick wall. You can't bull rush him. You can't run around him with his speed. And like I always said, Nate Newton says he's a dancing bear. He's athletic. He can do it both. So whoever lines up across from Trent Williams, your work's going to be cut out for you. D-Law, Randy Gregory, whoever it is, it's time to step up because this guy is a beast.
He is a first-team All-Pro for a reason. He is back for the San Francisco 49ers. Let's hear from DeMarcus Lawrence in the matchup against Trent Williams and what he expects to see from the San Francisco side of things.
You know, just looking at San Francisco, them now in their past history, they always wanted to be a physical team up front, lead with their offensive line, and we do the same thing. So, yes, it's going to be a physical match. Looking forward to it. Just decided to be in the playoffs and just ready to go, man.
You talk about the mental challenge of a physical running game like they have and the physical style of they talk about, you know, on offense they want to run through the defense and they call it bullet ball. Is that the same mindset you go in every game, or do you as the defenders have to come into this game with a different mindset because of their style of play?
I feel like you only can play bully ball when you own the situation, and owning the situation meaning you only can play bully ball when you're up 14-0. So if it's a tight game, I don't think they can be able to play bully ball all game long.
When you look at Garoppolo, what do you see as some of the ways you can exploit the pocket and try and use the defensive line this week?
When I look at Jimmy, see, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to come into, you know, here and just be talking to media about what we can do or what we about to do. I want to really focus on our game plan, not worry about what those guys have over there, and really just come out on Sunday and attack and play our game.
Back here at AT&T Stadium, closing in on 50 minutes till kickoff between the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. It is a whiteout at AT&T Stadium, and the fans are phenomenal. The atmosphere is absolutely electric from beginning to end. We are back here with Cowboys Pregame Live, presented by WinStar World Casino and Resort, the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans, and the San Francisco 49ers led the NFL in yards per play and in red zone percentage this season. All but one game of those was with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. Could Dallas get themselves in a bit of trouble today if they start to underestimate big number 10 behind the line of scrimmage?
Yes, because you can't underestimate anyone in this league, especially a playoff caliber quarterback. And if the 49ers offense is able to get that run game going just a little bit, Jimmy Garoppolo will be able to use that playoff or play action effectively, and he can cause problems for this Dallas Cowboys defense.
Yeah, I think if you come in here and you don't approach this game as if you're facing an Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, you're going to get yourself in trouble. But one of the ways in which you can put him in a bad situation is simply stopping the run game. He wants to be driving Miss Daisy, but guess what, Nate Dogg? He ain't passed the driving test.
We got a young fan behind us, man. I need to get Jimmy on him. Throw him out here. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I tell you what, man, I never underestimate a quarterback in this league. He has been to a Super Bowl. He has been there. And he come from the New England Patriots, so he know how to play quarterback. The deal is where he sticks to the game plan. If you can get him shook up and get him out of his game plan, you can hurt him.
He's one of three quarterbacks this season who averaged over 8 passing yards per attempt, along with Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford, Dallas native. Let's hear from Jimmy Garoppolo on his first start against the Dallas Cowboys and what he expects going up against that man, Trayvon Diggs.
A big one. He's talented, man. He's good in that back end. Trayvon really just tracks the ball really well. I mean, you could tell that he used to play receiver. He can make some great plays on it. But their whole defense, they're pretty skilled across the board. Got some big time players, and it'll be a good challenge for us.
How much does that? I know you're kind of focused on the game, but just the human side of it. How much does the idea that this could be the last ride? Does it add any motivation and anything like that? How much does that weigh in your mind just throughout the course of a week going into games like this?
It's always in the back of your mind. It has been in mine, really this whole season. Just I knew what type of season it was, knew everything that was going on, behind the scenes and whatnot. So it was a little different. But at the same time, it's like you're saying, you got to toe that line because you don't want to get too emotional in those moments, and you just got to go play football when it comes down to it. But it, the human side definitely comes into play. You feel it for a little bit after the game, and I think 24 hours after that, you got to move on quickly, and we've done that pretty well.
Jimmy Garoppolo going to throw to this man right here. George Kittle had a career-high 6 receiving touchdowns to go along with 910 yards through the air. Dallas has faced some of the best tight ends in the NFL this season. Travis Kelce from Kansas City, Darren Waller, Jared Cook, Zach Ertz. But George Kittle has to be up toward the top of that list. Where does he compare to you guys, starting with you, Nate?
Man, he's a good run blocker. He's physical. He can catch balls, and he's just a great guy. Hey, but you know what? We got the matchup for him in our big safeties.
Yeah, if you were going to compare him to those guys, I would have to throw him in there with the conversation with Gronkowski, simply because of his ability to be able to run block. When you have somebody who's able to run block and be able to have a physically imposing presence at that line of scrimmage, you now not only have to worry about him in a passing game, but you have to worry about his ability to be able to get up to your second level of linebackers.
Yeah, to me, look, George Kittle is going to be the toughest tight end the Cowboys have gone against the entire season because he has the best of both worlds. When he gets the ball in his hands, this guy is almost impossible to bring down. But just as good as he is in the pass game, he's just as good in the run game as a blocker. It's like having an extra offensive lineman out there. So to me, this will be one of the toughest tasks that the Cowboys will have to face this afternoon.
Also, not to mention yards after the catch. He leads all tight ends and wide receivers with over 2,200 yards after the catch since 2018. He certainly has been a mismatch for most teams. However, Cowboys feel pretty good about putting a guy like Jalen Kearse, a big safety, bring him up and cover George Kittle. Here's Jalen in his own words about the matchup at hand today.
Kittle's a great tight end, one of the best tight ends in the league, if not the best. He does a lot of things in the pass game and the run game, which is unique to a lot of tight ends because you got guys that's either really good at run blocking or really good pass catching, and you don't really see a lot of guys like him that's good at both. Can catch the ball good, can do a lot after the catch. So it's going to be a good one, and it just comes down to I'm kind of. I'm ready for the task, but he has to go against me too. So, I kind of get ticked off when I'm being asked Kittle this, Kittle that. Like, he has to play me too. So, we'll see how that shakes out.
I know that you've played in some playoff games in Minnesota. Just what's the difference that you can tell as being a player on the field in a playoff game as opposed to a regular season game?
It's just the stakes are higher. It's not like you get that one slip-up game and then you can come back next week and bounce back. If you have that slip-up game in the postseason, you're going home and you have to get ready for next season. So I think just for me, it's all about having the right mentality coming into it, knowing what's at stake, and performing your best. That's how playoff football is, and it's won in the trenches on both sides of the ball. So, we're up for, like I said, we're up for whatever task that we have to, the next task in front of us right now is the 49ers, and we're up for that and going out there to get the job done.
More often than not, matchups like this in the playoffs come down, to that. Matchups on both sides of the football, and we just heard from Jalen Kearse and how he will try and attack George Kittle. But earlier in the week, Isaiah Stanback and Barry Church took to the Ford Center and took to the turf to show you other matchups on how the Cowboys can get a win today.
What's up, y'all? This your boy Isaiah Stanback.
DCBC, Berry Church in the house.
And we are standing right here smack dab in the middle of the Ford Center. And listen up, the 49ers are here. We are playing against them in the first round of the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
And we have to give you guys some key tips and indicators to make sure that Dallas has an advantage in this game.
They got to.
Now, when you get to the playoffs, BC, every opponent is amazing.
They are. I mean, they're good enough to get to that point, so they have to be one of the best teams in the league.
So how do you decipher different levels of competition? You have to watch film, and you have to look for those key little indicators that give you just that little bit of an edge. And we're going to show you guys a little something right now. Give yourself a tip. Here we go. So Barry's going to play the role of George Kittle.
Yes, sir.
They're all pro tight ends.
It's a little slimmer.
And I'm going to be Deebo Samuel, okay? And one of the main things that we picked up on film is a key indicator that George Kittle is giving away. Shh, don't tell him, all right? But it has to do with his feet. Now, when George Kittle's feet are even, he's not leaving, okay? So when his feet are even like this, he's usually coming downhill, coming right at the defensive end, or trying to get across his face, but he's coming downhill. Now, when you guys see his feet change from even to this cock position, right, and he's going to be off in his wing set, now he is trying to open up this hip so that he can go across the formation and execute what we call a wham block. A wham block is when this defensive lineman is now coming downhill and Barry, aka George Kittle, is trying to catch him off guard, boom, hitting him across the line of scrimmage so that the guy can come off his butt. So make sure you pay attention to the feet. After you pay attention to his feet, you need to find out where who is. Deebo Samuel.
Grown man right there.
Between the feet and between the location of Deebo Samuel is going to tell you a whole lot. We're going to paint this picture for you. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Let's do it.
So this is what you have right here. Whenever you see the feet even and you see Deebo Samuel on the same side as George Kittle, what are we thinking about? We're thinking about coming downhill. So here we go. The ball is snapped. Bow. All right, gets the ball. He's coming downhill. Easy peasy. All we have to do is take our man on and make sure we win our assignments. Perfect.
Easy money.
Now, whenever you see George Kittle with his feet cocked, and now they're opposite of each other, now you have to think counter, okay? They usually run a motion across the formation. As soon as that motion happens, pay attention to where BC's head is. BC is trying to peek on the inside because he's doing what type of block? A wham block. He needs to know exactly who he's blocking, whether it's a linebacker or a defensive lineman. So he's peeking inside, his feet are cocked. Deebo Samuel is away from him in the formation. Here we go. Boom. Snap it. He's going to run a counter type setting here. Now he's coming back across. He has the wham block right here. And Deebo is coming downhill, trying to find the seam inside this lineman here. He's going to try to take things vertical. All right, that's the second look. The third look and the most dangerous look is when you see George Kittle off the ball, feet are cocked, and Deebo Samuel on the same side. Now our defense needs to be alert for a big boy power play. This is their big chunk play out of the backfield. So again, you'll see that motion man come across the formation. Boom, motion is going away from George Kittle. George Kittle's feet are cocked in that position. Deebo's on the same side, ball is snapped. Now you're seeing Deebo Samuel's set. He's coming out in his power, and now he is following the tail end of George Kittle. Why are they doing this? That lead motion man that we talked about is kicking out the first most dangerous man. Following that, George Kittle is now taking out the second most dangerous man. Now, all these offensive linemen are kicking their men down. They are down blocking. Now that causes a lot of confusion for the second level linebackers. It gives the Deebo Samuel a two-way go. You're now trying to figure out what hole should I hit. He can either go this way and come right off the tail end of George Kittle, or he can put his foot in the ground and come backside where these linebackers are going to be most likely confused, allowing him to cut up inside his lineman and take off for the big boy play. Those are some of the things that we have to pay attention to in this game. We need to have those key indicators, watch the film, look at the location of George Kittle's feet, look at the location of Deebo Samuel, and it will give you the entire picture and give you that half step that you need as an advantage.
We need that half step because if we don't have it, Kyle Shanahan and this offense, they are exquisite at running the football. We need every advantage we can. Now, if we go out here to the outside to where the DBs live, myself, we love it out here in this vast open community out here. You got one of the best receivers in the National Football League, one of the strongest receivers in the National Football League, Deebo Samuel. And when you have a name like Deebo, you probably beasting everybody you're going against. So when you got a guy like this going at the wide receiver position, I'm playing Trayvon Diggs, Mr. 11 interceptions, all that greatness. But when you go against a guy like this, you want to be physical, but not too physical, because he has the strength to throw you out of the club, and we want no parts of that. So when you're lining up a guy like this right here, getting that press alignment, you want to bend your knees, getting that press alignment. You do not want to just sit your seat in cement and throw your hands, because if you do that, he's throwing you out the club and he's out the gate. Like I said before, this is one of the strongest receivers in the National Football League. So what you got to do is you got to use a mirror technique. Now, what I mean by mirror technique is watch the feet right now. If Deebo Samuel were to go out that way, you mirror him. You mirror. Stay square and you mirror him. If he goes the opposite way, pick your feet up and mirror him. You do not want to put your hands on him yet, because like I said, if you put your hands first, he's going to throw you out the club. So once he declares his route and he's gone, you use your mirror technique, that's when you want to get your hands on him. That's when you want to just drop that route and throw it that timing between him or Garoppolo. And as he goes down the field, make sure you stay on that low hip. He doesn't have the speed to outrun you, but this guy is a good receiver. Make sure you stay low hip. Use your help on your defenders. You're going to need it. This is one of the better receivers in the National Football League. You got to be physical with him. You got to make sure you throw off that time.
Hey, listen up. We just gave you guys a peek behind the veil, some indicators, some tips in terms of how Dallas can use these little indicators to give them an advantage. Now, we just got to wait and see if they do it. Right back to y'all.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Isaiah Stanback and Barry Church outlining how the Cowboys can get a win today in the wild card round against the San Francisco 49ers. Cowboys Nation is showing out in style here at the AT&T East Plaza at AT&T Stadium. So glad you're with us here on Cowboys Pregame Live. Again, Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, and Cowboys Nation is excited for a ton of reasons, but one of those reasons is they have their backfield back. Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, both healthy, ready to go for a playoff run. As you take a look at some of the season numbers for both of these guys, Zeke over 1,000 yards for the fourth time in his career. However, San Francisco brings a top 3 defense and a top 7 run defense this season. So, Barry Church, I ask you as a former defender, you know what San Francisco's going to be bringing. They're bringing the heat on that front 7 side of the football. Can Dallas get off the ground while being on the ground?
Without a doubt, I think they can get off the ground. And to me, it's simple. I'm running behind my 2 best offensive linemen, all-pro guards, Zach Martin and Lyle Collins. I'm letting both of those guys exert their will on this 49ers defensive line. And if we're able to have success with that early, it'll open up so much more for Dak Prescott and his offense. But to me, I'm keeping it simple. Run behind your 2 best linemen, Martin and Lyle Collins.
Well, BC, I'm going to keep it simple, too. And the word of the day is commit. Yes. Commit to the run game. Kellen Moore, the challenge has been handed out to you. You need to get this offensive line going. You need to enforce your will on this line. And the big fella over here already knows. If you get those guys going and moving the offensive linemen, moving those D linemen on that front, then guess what? They're going to have the juice. And once they get the juice, then you can go ahead and they'll block for you all day long in the passing game.
Eric Armstead and Fred Warner say no. They're part of that big play defense for the 49ers. But I tell you what, I'm with you, Church. Run behind that right side of the line, baby.
Taking a look inside AT&T Stadium, C.D. Lamb and the Dallas Cowboys warming up prior to kickoff. Kickoff, of course, at 3:20 p.m. Central Time between the 49ers and the Cowboys. We just talked about the run game. Let's hear from Zeke himself, how excited he is to be back in a playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, it does seem like a long time ago, and I mean, you got to cherish these moments. In this league, it's very hard to make it to the postseason, and so you're only going to get so many opportunities. So we definitely got to do our best to go make this one count.
What's the key to running the ball against such a tough run defense like the 49ers?
Just kind of, it starts with the D line. We got to win the line of scrimmage. We got to neutralize those guys. They built their defense around that D line and their linebackers. So just establishing that line of scrimmage and getting to a fast start.
I know we talked to you about Joey when y'all played the Chargers, but how well do you know Nick Bosa? What's your relationship like with him? And as a player, what do you respect about him?
Yeah, I know Nick very well. While we were in college, he came and visited us a lot, so I spent a lot of time with him at Ohio State. And I've known him, so I guess since 13. So I've known him almost 10 years. But as a football player, dude goes hard. He's a freak athlete. Him and his brother are freak athletes. we used to talk about fundamentals. I mean, it's weird just to kind of watch them because they both play so similar. They got a lot of the same mannerisms, but just even the way they play on the field is very similar. They use a lot of the same moves. They're both he's very, very good with his hands. I mean, he plays with a high motor. So, I mean, a guy that, not only has a crazy skill set, but is going to go hard every play. That's tough.
If anybody knows Ezekiel Elliott, it's Nick Bosa and the Bosa brothers. Nick Bosa bringing a career high in sacks, tackles for loss, and in quarterback hits this season. He has had a fantastic year, and of course he's going to be trying to slow down that Dallas backfield and what they bring to the table with Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. So, Nate, I'll start with you on this one. How does the Dallas offense stack up to match up against a guy like Nick Bosa?
We have two good tackles, in Lyle Collins and Tyron Smith, so I'm not going to even worry about that. What's going to get me is when they go with the game. Say the tackle, kick out on my guard, and come around on my tackle. That's when you get the problems, when you have the tackle and stunt.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Big Nate Dog. I don't feel like we have any issues on the outside. Obviously, we have our all-pro offensive tackles. The problem becomes evident when we're on the inside. With Tyler Biadasz, Connor Williams. Those are our two youngest bulls on our interior offensive line. Those guys are not going to be allowed to have any help. They're going to be on the island by themselves, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I think we match up pretty well. I mean, I know the 49ers have a stout defensive line led by Nick Bosa, but if this Cowboys offensive line can play together as a unit and limit those drive-killing penalties that we've seen so far this season, I think they'll be able to handle their business and get a hold of this 49ers defensive line.
Dalton Schultz may have to play a role in that as well, kind of as that chipping tight end. He's had a great year as a receiver, but at times he's really been a liability as a blocker. So can Dallas really rely on Dalton Schultz, Isaiah, to play that role and be able to slow down that pass rush from the San Francisco side?
I think they can, but I'm looking for Dalton Schultz to be another member of the chain gang today. I know we need him to be able to move the chains, be there for Dak, be reliable, be consistent. So when those third and shorts present themselves, he's there as an option to continue to move the chains along down the field.
Yeah, and I'm going to go a little bit opposite of you, Isaiah. I don't think they're going to rely that much on Dalton Schultz because as a 49ers defense as a whole, they've done a great job of limiting tight ends in the passing game. They've only given up 582 yards total with only 6 touchdowns. So I think Dak Prescott and his offense is going to do most of their damage outside the numbers, targeting guys like Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and occasionally Ced Wilson.
All this kid got to do, and I know it sounds simple, get in the way, irritate him, be a bump on his neck. That's all we ask for. Just be as physical as you can, and everything will be okay.
The second tight end in Cowboys franchise history to ever have 800 receiving yards in a season. It is Dalton Schultz and Jason Witten. That is a very short list in Cowboys franchise history. That just shows and puts into perspective just how good Dalton Schultz has been throughout this season. But both of the Cowboys and the 49ers, one of 4 teams with 3 players over that 800-yard mark this season and 5 receiving touchdowns. The Bengals and the Buccaneers are the other 2 of the 4 teams. CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are the other 2 for the Dallas Cowboys, but haven't had a game over 100 yards receiving since week 8 of the season. So, Barry, when you look at this matchup against the secondary of the 49ers that is susceptible, which wide receiver is going to have the bigger day?
Look, I think Dallas has a huge advantage when you talk about the passing game versus this 49ers secondary, and I think this is the game where Amari Cooper is going to exert his dominance against a weaker 49ers defense. But that's all predicated on whether our offensive line can handle the strength of the 49ers defense, which is led by Nick Bosa and their defensive line.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Pick whichever one you want. It doesn't matter. Either one of these guys will be able to eat against the personnel that the 49ers secondary has to present. Like you just mentioned, BC, it all comes down to that front 7. If the offensive line can hold up, these guys will have plenty of opportunities to catch and run.
Amari Cooper is the coverage guy. He dictates coverage. He's just that good. You've told me he's just that good. So if we can get him early and often in the game, then everybody can feed. That's when everybody can play big ball.
A reminder, Dallas lost Michael Gallup in Week 17 to an ACL injury, but they do have Cedric Wilson as the back end of that weaponry and that arsenal. 45 receptions, over 600 yards, and 6 touchdowns for Cedric Wilson this season. Let's hear from both CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, what it's like preparing for the first playoff game in the form of CeeDee Lamb and also the matchup with San Francisco and Amari Cooper.
Just dreaming as a kid, what I'm saying, watching all the games from, I don't know how long I've been watching football, but just honestly just trying to put myself or envision myself in the position that those guys have played the playoffs before me. is huge. And for me to have this opportunity before me on Sunday it's kind of unimaginable, honestly, just because I can't really believe it right now. It's a surreal moment, but I'm excited, most importantly, and I can't wait to go do it with my brothers.
You want to win first, but what do you want your role to be this week in the playoffs now that the stakes are even higher?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you just said, the stakes are high. I think everybody on the team is fully confident in their ability to go out there and make a play when the team needs them to make a play. And so that's what I want my role to be. When my name is called, whatever opportunity that's presented to me, I want to go out there and take full advantage of it.
When you've watched them on film, how physical are their DBs against the opposing receivers?
Yeah, I mean, they have a good team overall on defense. They've been playing well. They got that front who's, getting to the quarterback, and it helps out the defensive backs over there a lot. But as far as physicality, I mean, they're NFL corners. They're a good group. And that's why we practice. We feel fully confident in our ability as wide receivers to go out there and take advantage of that matchup no matter who we play. So that's what we're going to try to do.
Back here on the AT&T East Plaza, where Cowboys Nation is showing out strong. We've talked about the offense, we've talked about the defense, but what kind of pressure is on the special teams, specifically on Greg Zuerlein at kicker? Here's John Fossil, special teams coordinator, on his confidence level with Greg Zuerlein entering this playoff run.
I think he's still, I can speak for him. I think he's still trying to find it. And he's been real close, and for a couple of weeks there, he was really dialed in. And then he said Kansas City game, he hit a couple of really good balls, and then he just kind of lost it, and he's been kind of back and forth. It seems like since the Kansas City game, where he felt like that's when he found it.
You don't think that's kind of scary to be going into a playoff game and you're still talking about your kicker trying to find it?
If it was a rookie, maybe. But, I think every kicker's kind of lost it before and they find it again. I think Tiger Woods a lot of times has lost it. It's like if you're a golfer, it's like, man, once you get it down, why don't you just stay with that forever? But either they kind of lose it or they kind of tweak it. So it's a good question. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, think
Tiger's a Hall of Famer, though. Tiger's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, well, we got a ways to go, Greg.
It's been a tough year for Greg Zuerlein and company as Greg the Leg leads the league in missed kicks at the moment, both combined with the PATs and with the field goals as well. Greg Zuerlein, though, in the playoffs, 8 of 10 in his career. His only misses from 63 yards against Dallas back in 2018, and then, of course, 48 against New England in the game where they really needed that one to go through the uprights. But what is your confidence level when you look at the kicking game?
Well, look, I hope playoff Greg shows up, because right now, regular season Greg, he's just not on my radar right now. It's too much of a roller coaster ride we've seen so far this season, and it's kicks that should be in his wheelhouse. I'm talking about from 30 to 35 extra points. He seems to struggle with those. And look, we're in the playoffs. We know a missed field goal can send you home and send you packing. So hopefully Greg Zuerlein comes with his A game and he nails all his field goals.
You know what, BC? A C grade in undergraduate school is passing. Okay. But when you get to grad school, it's not passing. Right now we're in grad school. We can't afford for this dude to be missing any kicks or any extra points. Every point matters. Hopefully he goes out there and takes care of business today.
You know what, man? He just got to do the job. Fellas, we all played ball. And kickers, we only ask you to do one thing. That's kick the ball through the uprights. Do your job, young man.
It's going to be an interesting one for Greg Zuerlein and company as he has to get back into that playoff form, find that confidence, because you're right, Isaiah. This is the playoffs. This isn't grade school. This is grad school. You got to get that next step.
Like
Greg
that.
Zuerlein and company are going to try and do that along with the rest of the Dallas Cowboys. So we've had Barry, we've had Isaiah, we've had Nate, we've had Britt and Rob. Let's go to Nick Eatman down on the sideline inside AT&T Stadium with Cowboys COO Stephen Jones.
Thanks so much, Kyle. And I am here once again with Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. And first, this is why you do everything that you do in the offseason, all that you talk about, 365 days to evaluate talent. It's all to get in moments like this, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, this is why you're in the business. I mean, we certainly enjoy the franchise and all the great business that we've had with the franchise. But at the end of the day, the reason you get involved in the NFL is to win football games. And certainly this is the start of it. Once you win the right number, you get in the tournament, as Coach Parcells used to call it. And this is what it's all about. I mean, obviously, we feel so good about our football team, so it's all the more nerve-wracking because if you don't get it done right, it's abrupt and over in a hurry.
This feels like the longest week of just anticipation and all that. A lot of talk about the 49ers, how physical they are. I have a feeling your team's kind of tired of hearing that. They think they're pretty physical as well.
Absolutely. We take pride, and as you know, our offensive line, we drafted all of them early and often, and for the most part. And then, of course, this defensive front we put together, we feel like they're as good as any in the league as well. So this will be a physical football game, no question. And certainly the fronts are going to play a big part of this game today. But at the end of the day, our number 4, I'm fired up about. And, you know, he gets this team ready to go. He's the ultimate leader. And I just feel like he's going to come ready to play. And at the end of the day, hopefully that'll be the difference.
Well, it sounds like nationally, maybe people are kind of doubting him a little bit. He's got the one playoff win. Judging off his recruiting and drafting and all that, that's probably good that he's being doubted. He seems to thrive the best.
He thrives when people question what he's all about. Doesn't get any better, as I said. He's the unbelievable leader, unbelievable competitor, and no question in my mind he's going to bring his A game today.
How do Lions perform in playoff games of their first one? Do you think Micah Parsons is going to matter at all?
It's not going to matter a bit. As he said, he's going to keep eating, and because he's hungry, stays hungry, and I think it'd be great to have him back out on the field after missing him last week. But I feel so good about this defensive football team, and I feel good about Dak leading the offense and executing and getting the job done.
All right, one more. And there's been so much talk this week about what the color is going to look like here. The white out. Obviously, there's going to be some red. Here we are, just a little while before kickoff. You got to be feeling pretty good about the ratio here.
Well, it's looking good. And, of course, with technology this day and time, you can kind of track it. And our guys had a good beat on it that it was going to be heavily white today. And we got the best fans in the world, and we're going to need them today. Certainly generates an atmosphere. On the road for the 49ers. Hopefully that'll make it hard for them to execute.
All right, there's Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. We'll throw it back to you guys out on the plaza, and Kyle.
Thank you very much, Nick and Steven. Wrapping things up here on Cowboys Pregame Live as we are about 20 minutes to kick off between the Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers in Wildcard action. Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. It is the 8th all-time meeting between the Cowboys and the 49ers in postseason play. Dallas has won 5 of the previous 7 meetings, so they have the history on their side. How do they make sure they get that 6th win today in your keys to the game?
I'm going to keep it simple. Force Jimmy G to beat you with his arm. If you can do that, you can talk him into a couple turnovers, and this game could be over by the third quarter. But you got to take away that run game, and you got to force Jimmy G to beat you with his arm.
This defense needs to play the most physical game that they've ever had and dreamt of in their life. And if they can do that, they can disrupt this offense of the 49ers. And like you said, make Jimmy G beat it with your arm.
You have to run the ball. You have to stop the run. Our offensive line has to play exceptional, and our defensive line has to be very physical. Stop the run and run the ball.
Cowboys versus the 49ers on CBS, 3:30 Central here from AT&T Stadium. It is a time for Cowboys Nation to step up and to bring the heat. It is time to get wild. It's Wild Card weekend in the NFL. It's the Cowboys and the 49ers. For Barry, Isaiah, for Nate, for Britt, Nick Eatman, and Rob Phillips, I'm Kyle Yeoman signing off from the AT&T East Plaza. Cowboys, 49ers, playoff time is here.